Will, do you know why I'm the greatest org player alive?
Because you
Because I totally bluffed the shit out of you. You know what I'm eating right now?
What are you eating? My
Sweet
cheers?
revenge.
Dog. Are you really?
Sweet
Are
victory.
You really doing this?
You know why? You know why?
Why?
Bruce wasn't a losing finalist.
It got scarily close, though.
Get played.
Hey, to be fair, who else would have predicted Bruce going out with an idol in his pocket? All right. But speaking of Bruce, this is going to be something I'm going to reference back with Emily. I noticed a pattern across the last few episodes, right? And I'm really mad. I also saw the same thing on the Survivor Reddits because I was like, I don't want Jack to read this. So a few episodes ago, Kendra had a very emotional confessional, right? She was talking about the pretzels, the beer, her dad, and it was this kind of big thing, right? Well, fast forward, she gets voted out the next episode. Next episode, though, Bruce also has this really emotional confessional, right? It was one of the most not wholesome, but like memorable confessionals of the this season and maybe even new era. And Bruce went home. What does that spell for Emily and Katora, right? Because I feel like they both had pretty big developments personally this episode. And I don't know if it's a pattern or a curse. What do you think?
Could be. It could
Okay.
be. Welcome, everyone.
This is why Jack is a really good conversationalist. I'm so glad I'm doing a Survivor podcast with him. I give him an idea, a crackpot theory. He's like, it could be. All right.
Welcome, everyone, to Survivor StockWatch for episode 10 of Survivor 45. I am Jack. With me is Will. What are you wearing, and how are you doing?
I'm wearing 3D glasses, baby.
Do I look cool in 3D?
I just see red and blue, baby. I just see. All right.
All right. How are you today, Will? How's your morning going?
I woke up 20 minutes ago. So, but my week's been going good. You know, I've been on that grind. You know, I might be getting a promotion soon. So, baller. But yeah, no, I can't complain. Survivor's been survivoring. I've been really liking the season. So I think right now we're kind of in the valley, right? I feel like right now it's kind of crawling because we're just kind of waiting for the Reba 4 and if they're going to break up. I feel like it's similar with last season, how it's like we kind of knew the score with the Tika 3. Like we knew they were going to succeed. So it's just watching them. And I feel like I personally enjoyed Tika 3 more than the Reba 4. So I've just been pulling for Emily, and nothing wrong with that.
There you go. Fair enough. Yeah, this episode, I think the big theme this season, at least for me, not in terms of what the producers want us to think or the editors want us to think, but rather just kind of as a viewer, what's the overall theme? It's that no matter what happens during the season, good or bad, the editing can always make up for it.
Yep.
The editing can always make it good. We got a really, really, really good edited episode. Some montages, some, fake outs. It was a great episode editorially, but at the same time, the result on paper is a little disappointing, no?
Yeah. And it's one of the things I can't really blame the editors. I have to blame the players. So if, we have any Survivor 45 players that made it to the final 8 and they're tuning in right now, just know this episode, was kind of lame and I want you to do better. But I feel like this episode was fun. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. It didn't take itself seriously. which I think is almost perfect for Bruce because he didn't want to take himself seriously. And he still had these really cool human moments where he expressed, some vulnerabilities throughout the season. But like Bruce came into the season wanting to just be the fun dad. And I think he got a fun dad episode with, the 80s montages. We have the guys, broing out, which I thought was a really fun inclusion. And then, I don't know. I feel like seeing Bruce go does suck. I think Bruce was legitimately one of the best casting choices for this season. I think he just fit the bill so well. But, we'll see how the season picks up from here.
I agree. Bruce was definitely the, dare I say, star of the season for me. Could be definitely top three.
Top two.
Top three. Maybe top two. But, it's just a immunity streak, having an idol, playing horribly.
Yep.
It was just really, really exciting to watch Bruce play this season. It was fun. He had a good time. And towards the end, my honest opinion was that I think people kind of wore off of actually really disliking Bruce, maybe say for Katura, but people kind of warded off from actually disliking Bruce, and Bruce became a lot more humble and a lot more relaxed, and he kind of took his experience as it was going. And if he wasn't already such a talked up threat, maybe
I could see losing finalist. I honestly, I think if Bruce made it to the final tribal council, I think there was an argument. I think he could have had a speech that could have won. Not certainly. I just think that Bruce's whole story of just being the guy everyone wants out, but no one can get him out. I think that he did play a very loyal game, right? He was loyal to the Bellows. Despite Kelly not reciprocating, I think he was very loyal with her. I think really his Achilles heel was Jake in a lot of ways. I feel like he didn't really manage that relationship well game-wise. I think personally they're best of buds. And I feel like that, and also just being a part of the Bellow mess, I feel like the Bellows were a tribe straight from Survivor Gabon and Nicaragua, where they just were super dysfunctional, could not get along. And I think that also was Bruce's downfall. But the fact that Bruce made it here when we had him bottom of the barrel for the entire season is really impressive.
I think so as well. I think it's really cool seeing Bruce kind of. To be fair, I've seen people argue that Bruce, he got lucky, a lot of twists. There's argument, sure. There's argument for him being lucky with a lot of twists, but at the same time, are you mad?
I mean, every Survivor season has twists except for Gabon. You can say like Richard Hatch got lucky that he was on a cast of people who wanted to play morally right, but then also wanted to reward his gameplay. Like
exactly.
I don't like the luck card because there's going to be twists in Survivor.
It's the Russell Hantz take, saying that luck is not a part of Survivor and not a part of a game that you can play. Saying that luck is an integral to Survivor is going like Russell Hantz in Heroes versus Villains and getting 0 votes at FTC.
Yeah, no, luck impacts legitimately everything from, the twists to also who you're on an island with. I think you can make a case that Brandon got unlucky that he was on such a losing tribe. If he was on a tribe of 10, it was 2 tribes of 10 or a tribe of 8, like 2 tribes of 8, maybe he could have stuck around longer. Maybe he was able to have a good social game. But he just wasn't lucky with being with 2 quitters and Sabaya of all people. So I don't get the luck card. But I also like to argue with people online for fun about Survivor.
Yeah.
So
overall,
advocate.
Yeah, I think Bruce was lucky this season, but I think more than that, he was just entertaining.
Yep.
Once you know Bruce, he's not a bad person in any sense of the word. He's a great human being, and seeing him go, it's unfortunate. I liked a little Bruce I liked a little Bruce action. I liked a little character growth from Bruce over the season. So it
Yeah.
was unfortunate seeing him go, but it's how it is. And we say goodbye to the person we usually rank at the bottom.
I
Sorry.
know. Now it's a different person. This sucks. Hi,
Now it's a
Austin.
different person. Hi, Austin. Yeah, we have them both at 6.
Yeah.
Let's
Honestly,
talk about it.
I was going to rank him lower. I was going to rank him last.
You're going to put him at 7?
Yeah.
What? Okay,
Austin,
well, explain why you didn't.
So, because I think it's a personal vendetta against Drew. I think is why. I meant the person I put at 7th. No, Austin to me cemented himself as just not really significant to the story. Whenever we hear from him, it's always about his advantages. He gave away an idol, and we just pretty much are left to assume that something else is happening with that. If he was the winner, right, we'd hear more about his thoughts with giving Julie the idol. We'd hear his thoughts on the votes. We'd hear more than just, I have all the advantages and I love my sandwiches, right? That's pretty much Austin's whole shtick this entire season. And I like it. He was the good old boy, the all around, jack of all trades of a player. But now when we're getting down to the brass tacks, like Austin's not winning the season. I
No.
think he's been playing a decent game, but also I always think about the Caleb confessional where he calls Austin a weak player, and Austin's just been very passive with the Reba 4, which I think when you're getting down into it and you're against people like Julie and D, and maybe even Drew to an extent, Austin doesn't really have a lot of leverage against them. And honestly, in a Final Tribal Council, I think he does the worst out of all 4 of them.
He's a very loyal guy. I think he's he's very good natured, but I think you're right. Going to a Final Tribal Council with your Reba members, you're gonna get screwed because all of them, honestly, even though he has 2 idols, even though he's won a challenge, even though he's done things so well, he can't be a better arguer than Julie, Drew, or D, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so that's why I have him at 6. Not because I think he's getting 6th place for me.
No.
I think he's still probably getting. You think it's 6th?
No. I was saying no. Like I agree with you. Like no, he's not getting 6. I still think maybe Final 5. Again, I think the third losing confession or not confessional, the third losing finalist spot is up in the air, and I can really see it being anyone who's not, D, Emily, or Jake. Because I think those 3 are locked in losing finalist and winner. And I could see Austin, a lot of the problems with him being very weak and just loyal and passive, that could end up in a Final Tribal Council, or him just looking like that could lose him the game and having 2 idols.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Austin kind of plays this out. We're getting down to the wire. Maybe he does start making some moves, but maybe he's making the wrong moves because this person is still in his blind spot.
Yep.
And guess what? She had a bad episode, but she's still number 1.
Yeah. The thing with D, she can kind of afford bad episodes because we're locked in on either D or someone else winning the season, which I've already spoiled because I'm really good at spoiling things. I think with D, her having a bad episode could be better than just having a cookie cutter perfect streak, right? Because look at Kelly. I think she had a very cookie cutter, really well-rounded season until the very end. Also think of Carson, right? He had a very cookie cutter, edit. And with D, her having her fluctuating a little bit, that could do well. Or losing finalist and she gets hated on by the entire jury.
No.
I kid.
There's no way.
No.
I
joke.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I think a lot of people have begun to say that D is not the winner and that it's Emily just because of the strength of Emily's episode this time. And I think that's recency bias playing such a large role into it. I mean, I think D still has the best edit. She's had those moments. This round wasn't important to her because she voted Jake, which is technically incorrect, even though they were splitting votes. You know,
Yeah.
D was covered. D was hidden from the edit as to not appear that she made, quote unquote, the wrong call. And so, in my opinion, and yours as well, it's going to be interesting to see how D goes forward because while she didn't have a great episode, she's had good episodes. At the same time, we don't have the nail in the coffin, right?
Yeah.
We don't have the nail in the coffin of we didn't get the letters. We didn't get a super good confessional from D about the letters. We got a little bit, if anything.
Yeah.
And we needed more for that to really nail in the coffin. And so I think good job on the producer's part for making sure that it wasn't so clear to us now at Final 8 who was winning. Because now a lot of people are like, oh, could it be D? Could it be Emily?
Yeah.
Could it be Katura?
I don't. We'll get to Katura, but we'll get to Katura. No, I still think right now it's a two-legged race, and if it's not, one of the two people, then we are back in Survivor Gabon. We're back in Survivor 43. We are getting Gablered or Basealed or Jaked. I don't know.
We're getting Gablered. It's a classic Gabler.
It's a classic Gabler, just like Survivor Amazon, where we all thought it was Rob, and then we got Gablered, and then Jenna Maraska won out of nowhere. I see the same for Jake, because just look at him. No, but D had a very quiet episode, but also it wasn't horrific. She's still in the power position, and honestly, she didn't need a spectacular episode if she is the winner. The vote was very obvious, and it was a lot more Emily centric for this move, but we'll see how it pans out in the future.
Good for her. Good for her. Good for staying so strong. It's going to be interesting to see how she plays out with Austin and the rest of the Read Before Next episode, now that they have the majority. Time will tell. And then we get to Drew, who we have last. We've kept him kind of on the bottom for a while. I've kept him at 7. You've kept him at 8 and then 7. We're at the same point. Drew is very
Drew's not winning.
Yeah, we ruled out Drew episode 3, something like that.
Episode 2.
Yeah, maybe episode 2 even. Yeah, it was early.
Yeah.
There's no way. We're still waiting for this glorious downfall. He had a really, really, really bad episode this week, and so that is leading to it potentially. Next week could be the downfall.
Drew's just been not getting good edits. Even 2 episodes ago was pretty bad, but the whole Rice thing, because again, it's against Jake, who's a very sympathetic player, right? I would even say fan favorite, right? The producers for the entire season, they're like, Jake is a really cool guy, very emotional, very, a lot in there. And, yeah. Thank you, Mountain Dew Gaming. Wait a second.
What?
Check the chat. No, but Jake, we love a good kid.
Yes. Thank you.
No, but Jake, the entire season, he's getting that character first and person first, game second edit. And so Drew being kind of an a-hole to him is not a good look. And I think the producers knew that, or editors knew that. And then we have this episode where he's just arguing with arguing with Jake. It's just, he's not winning the season. I'm just curious on how he goes.
I'm curious on how as well, because I think if there was a time, it would be now. I think if there was a time for him to go, this is it. This is the episode to get rid of him. I'll probably make a hot fix to my stock tier rankings later, because I'm pretty sure I gave Drew either equals or
you gave him
I gave him a triple plus. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, I'll probably change that hot fix. But yeah, it's time. I don't think
It is.
I think everybody else has a good argument for making it past this stage. Honestly, the one person who was a mystery, Katura, has now a good argument to make it past Final Seven. Drew does not,
Yeah.
for me. Drew is not a finale person. I don't even think he's sixth. I think he's seventh. If he doesn't go home next episode,
Yeah. No, I thought he was eighth.
Yeah, he
I-
definitely could have been eighth as well.
I thought he was going home this episode, and before the episode aired, I wrote on our little StockWatch PowerPoint, I'm like, here's my prediction. Drew's going home. I thought Bruce would play an idol. I thought idol paranoia. I think Drew would have been the weak link of the people, and I would have banked on Austin winning the challenge. And that is not a crackpot theory. That is something that could have happened. In my opinion, should have happened. But Bruce didn't play his idol, so just throw that all out the window.
Yeah, but overall, I think Drew's the death's door is knocking for Drew.
Yeah.
Not for Emily though.
Hi, Emily.
Coronation episode.
So,
I mean, if she doesn't win, it's a great episode for a great player.
Yeah.
If she does win, this was her coronation.
Yeah. No. So I've had Emily at number 2. For the last episode and this episode, the logic is just if not D, because there's still the argument that D is not the winner, then it's Emily, right? I feel like the only fear with Emily is that maybe her edit is more of the journey than a winner, right? Of her going from being an a-hole to like vulnerable. But also I could make the same point with Bruce, and I feel like Bruce had that same exact edit, just a little more Bruceified, and Bruce was the antagonizer for a lot longer than Emily. Emily turned her attitude around literal episode 2. And so I could honestly see Emily as the winner just because she has a really good arc. She has a really good narrative in the game, right? She was on the Lulu Losers, right? She lost her closest ally immediately into the merge, right? He's now juror number 1, the mayor of Ponderosa, which is a crazy position to be in, right? And I feel like this episode had a lot of personal content. My only fear is, again, go back to the pattern of Kendra, Bruce, maybe Emily, but I could also make the argument for another person. And I could see her going, I could still see her at number 4, right? The dragon of the season. Less so gameplay wise, but more so just narratively and just the story.
Well, I think everything at this point. Yeah. She made a really, really, really good move. Bluffing Bruce to oblivion so that he wouldn't play his idol.
Let's talk about that actually.
What's up?
Let's talk about that because I see a lot of people online who are all saying, "Why'd you do that, Emily? Bruce was an ally, and Bruce." He had the idol, could have taken out a Ree before. Now you have to bank on them clashing with each other. Good job, Emily. Which I think is baloney, and I think that is a really stupid take. And if you're perpetuating that, I think you are also stupid. Because the thing is, right, Bruce at this point, he's not an antagonizer. He's not like Abby Maria where everyone wants him gone because they want better morale in camp life. People want Bruce gone because Bruce was a legitimate threat, right?
He was built up.
He was the head of the Bello Alliance. He won 2 challenges and had an idol. That is crazy, right? He also changed his attitude around. And again, at a final tribal council, I could legitimately see him pulling away enough votes to win the game. That is scary, especially when he has an idol, right? And plus, the Bellows were so fractured that Emily could not get a stronger read on them. Meanwhile, she spent the last a lot more time with Austin and Drew and built up a relationship with them. And I don't blame Emily for thinking that Drew and Austin were more in Emily's camp than Dee and Julie's, right? Because, having a strong alliance of 3 is better than a strong alliance of 4, right? Especially at this point in the game.
Right.
So I think this move made a lot of sense. And I also think you cannot be mistaken. This was Emily's move. When Bruce goes to Ponderosa, he's like, Emily convinced me not to play my idol. That's why I'm here.
Yep.
And I think that is very smart. And I think that is like Emily's star move, her big move that she's going to use. You know, it's like Gabler voting out what's her name, right? I forgot her name. Ellie, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Very
Like,
interesting signature move, but signature move.
Yeah, but voting out the one player that on paper, everyone already wanted out anyways, so it's like, why bother? But the circumstance of voting the player out and how you went about it and how it benefited your game makes it your move. So yeah, lock it in. Emily's number 2 for us, or for me. You still have her number 4. Why 4?
I'm still weary. I think, I agree with you that Emily is the number 2 contender to win. This is more of a placement thing. I do still think she's the dragon. I've thought this for a long time.
Same here.
I still think she's the dragon that probably D will eventually have to slay. But there's no denying to me that Emily is the star of the season.
Yeah. Tied with
100%.
Bruce.
More than Caleb, more than Bruce, Emily's the star. Lock it in. Like, she had, right from episode 1, she had all the content. We've gone on her entire journey. We know her entire journey. We've seen every up and every down. And it's just awesome to see.
It's
the last thing I want to point out with Emily, and I saw this on Reddit too,
probably for me.
Probably from you. Ricard voted out Shan as his signature move. Omer voted out High. We could say signature move, or maybe Dre's signature move.
I think more Drea.
Yeah. Jesse with Cody. Carson technically with Franny and with Danny. Everything. Was this the Dragon's signature move that we often see in the new era? Or is this an outlier? Is this a signature move of a winner, and this was the coronation of that winner?
I think Carson was the outlier because of just how the season was, right? It was dictated mainly by the Tika 3, I think. But I feel like this was the signature move, either from the Dragon, either from the winner, from anyone. Also from the losing finalist, similar to Carolyn using the idol on Carson, right? I kid. No, but I really think that this was Emily's big move. It's either that or how she breaks up the Reba 4, if she's able to break up the Reba 4. There's still a possibility. I don't think it's likely with how the edit has been, where the Reba 4, they just stick together, 2 idols, and they just pagong the rest. And Emily goes out at 5, right? Which I don't see happening because that can't happen with Jake being a losing finalist. Right. But,
Speaking of
Jake, hi, Jake.
Yeah, he's still
say hi to Jake. Say hi to him.
Yeah, whatever, hi. Okay, no, Jake. Yeah, you're still a losing finalist, though. Yeah, he's still 3rd place, 0 votes for me. I think to sum it up best with this episode, one moment he's saying that Drew is someone he's starting to trust and wants him as an ally. And about 10 to 15 minutes later, he's calling him a mob boss and saying that, or no, that was Drew to Jake.
No, but Drew called him a mob boss.
Yeah.
The departed.
But Jake, Jake is defiant and rude to Drew back. That's Jake. He wants to build a connection. He wants to make a game move. He wants to trust, and then it falls apart.
I could make a very big crackpot theory.
Please don't.
No. Just hear me out.
Yeah, I'm listening.
If it's not D or Emily, it could be Jake. Hear me out.
Okay. If it's not D or Emily or Katura,
I don't see Katura making it to the final tribal council. That's the thing, and we'll get to that later.
If it's not the 3 of them, I guess it's Jake, because there's no way. To me,
it could it's the Gabler thing, like that's. I could see him as the weird That's also why Jeff Probst hates the season. I can see Jake as the weird, out of left field BS winner, right? Because I feel like his story could be very sympathetic to a very bitter jury, right? If a jury is mad at the Power Alliance at the Reba 4, they might want to reward Jake for being on the bottom, trying his best 24/7. Because that's the one thing I do respect about Jake. He's not giving up, right? Like, I feel like, honestly, if I ever go on Survivor, I'd be like Jake, of just trying to make a move and just not happening.
Right? I think you're right. In a configuration of two
like
Rebas and
Drew
Jake,
and Austin, honestly.
Okay, here's what I think is more likely. I think Julie and Jake is far more likely.
That's likely.
That's very likely.
I think D wins that. Unless the jury is very bitter.
The jury could be bitter, like you said, and it could be that the Bellows are like, yeah, Jake's my winner because, you know,
he was our guy.
Yeah, and that could very easily happen. But at the same time,
let's go back to that too. But also the fact that the jury celebrated Jake still being there, right? Like they were excited when Jake was still in the game. But that's also the crackpot theory. That's not like, hey, lock it in, Jake's winning the season. That's just, I just don't want to keep saying, yeah, Jake's a losing finalist. He had a bad episode. He's Charlie Brown. He's Owen. He's Romeo. I wanted to, like, you know, pump some life into Jake because I also think he just deserves it because, you know, I always feel bad for him. He's one of my favorite players this season. He's
favorite awesome. Characters. And seeing him just be so positive about the season.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, Jake.
Actually, I have another crackpot theory about Jake. Jake is the Sia winner of Survivor 45. Lock it in.
Okay, that is more likely than him winning the game. That could happen.
Yep. I think because she gives, so if you don't know about the Sia prize, she gives money, a lot of money to Survivor players. I think last season she gave it to Carolyn, Lauren, and someone else.
Lauren, maybe Heidi.
Maybe Heidi. She just gives a lot of money to players. I think before, sometimes 3 people, sometimes it was only 1. I think she gave like a bunch of money to Ty.
For Mark the Chicken.
I think, for Mark the Chicken. I think Jake is getting the money. I could also see Emily kind of. I could see J Maya just as the weird BS like 3rd spot. I think she gave money to Brandon last season. Was there a Brandon 44?
Yes.
Yes.
Here I go. She gave 15,000 to Lauren, 15,000 to Carson, and 100,000 to Carolyn.
Dog.
So there you go.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see Bruce as well, with the whole like dad thing. I could see Emily, definitely Jake, or maybe Caleb. I don't know.
Maybe we'll see.
But lock it in, boys. Jake's your Sia prize winner.
I can see.
Hi, Julie.
Julie.
Why did you say
so? What?
Why do we say hi to the people? They're not listening. I did start it. But why?
Started it.
Hi, Julie.
So, the key argument with Julie at this point in the game, besides, first of all, I'd like to say her and Drew's connection is the clear connection that the editors want us to focus on, instead of her and D, per se. First of all, she still has Austin's idol. I will not believe Austin has 2 idols again until we see Julie give it back.
Yep.
Does not matter. We need to see it happen or it doesn't happen. So Julie still has an idol. And now the argument is Julie a losing finalist, or does she get eliminated in favor of, in my opinion, the next person?
That is, I feel like
Julie's the hardest very tough call.
Yeah, Julie's the hardest to read. I feel like there's still a lot of longevity in the late game. But I think the big problem with Julie is that it's really hard to play a cutthroat game, but also be the mom. I think, and she touched upon this episode, but I feel like it's always a pitfall, right? Of being the mom, it helps out early game, right?
Yeah.
But once it's time for the merge and like the late merge, you can't really, or you can, but the jury looks at you differently and the players look at you differently. Like you are the caretaker, like you're the person who's very caring. You're going to play a loyal game. And so when you don't, people are a lot more emotional to that than other players. And so I kind of wrote off Julie as the winner. Plus, there wasn't a lot episode 1 for me to really pump up Julie. I could see her as a losing finalist. I could see her as a no vote finalist in favor of Jake getting a vote. I still think Bruce could vote Jake at the final tribal council. But or I could see her going at final 5, right? In the configuration where Julie goes at 5, Emily goes at 4, and then final 3 is D, Jake, and the last person who I wonder who.
Could Julie lose fire?
Or if Emily wins, Emily and Julie go to fire, Julie loses fire, Emily goes to final tribal council, wins.
There you go.
And who wins in a final tribal council of D and Emily?
That is going to be a competitive one to start. That is that's the battle. And that is tough trying to figure out because, in my opinion, the biggest thing, D is the most likely to win, but if D and Emily were at FTC together, Emily
wins.
Wins. Yeah.
I just think she has more friends in the jury and has a better story.
I think Emily has the best story of the season. And I think
Brandon does that, honestly. So glad they got rid of him. Big threat. Don't look at me.
I am of the belief, this is slight, this is very, very new, rickety, that Julie goes out right before the end, 5th, 4th, in favor of Katurah.
Katurah is weird.
Yeah, it's still tricky, but I think this episode helped clear out a lot to the point where I don't think she goes home this coming episode. I also don't think she goes home the next episode.
I could still see her going out this episode just because of the curse of personal content and then getting voted out right after. That's my biggest thing of why I could see Katurah leaving this episode or this upcoming episode. But I really think we are headed for I really hope we're headed for a Reba, catastrophe. Will revitalize the season and really give it a lot of fresh air. And I don't think Katurah is winning the season. I could see it being competitive against her and Jake at a final tribal council. If for whatever reason the final tribal council is Katurah, Jake, and Austin, I could see her potentially winning that. But the configurations of Katurah winning a final tribal council is a lot fewer, or it's a lot smaller than D and Emily. And I personally wrote her off. I think her great episode 1, is still there, but also she spent a lot of the season just having nothing except for being against Bruce, right? And I do not see that narratively being like a rewarding winner because there's more to her game. She's not just ranting about Bruce and then going back to the island. She's talking to the camera about her strategy because she's done it before. But we're not seeing that. All we're seeing is just her against Bruce. And I think for that reason,
we saw the ending play out this episode, or maybe we didn't. Maybe there's still more to the story.
But it's same thing with Austin, right? Kelly goes and the whole sandwich kerfuffle is over, and now we're just not seeing Austin anymore. Right. So who knows?
Here's my question with Katurah. Could we be getting a misleading on the level of Dean from Island of the Idols? Because Dean, he was terrible. He was terrible early. His edit was trash. Let me pull up an Edgic real quick just to get a look for it.
Talking about Island of the Idols, though, is rough. I love Dean though. Dean was a goon.
his start under the radar, invisible, under the radar, over the top negative, and then just a little bit of a lull of middle of the roads, and then jumped up, being seen as like, making his own plays, getting advantages and stuff. Could we be getting misled on the level of Dean or another losing finalist who picks up steam as the game goes on, even though they had a horrible beginning? Say,
I don't think it's necessarily that of a losing finalist. I think it's going to be kind of like what's her face? Lindsay from 42, right? Because Lindsay wasn't really there for a lot of the season. And then at the very end, it's like, oh my god, Lindsay's this huge threat. And I think we're going to see that with Katora, right? I feel like people are seeing her as like the last I kind of see her as the last Bellow member because Jake just transcends tribes. Like he's just the only tribe he's on is losing finalist and see ya. So, I feel like Katora is going to be one of those players that was just not there for a lot of the season. And then somehow I think she could really help with breaking up the Rhea before. And for that,
I think she will now. I think it's the time now to do that because I see a lot of people saying that they think it's her story was she wants to outlast every Bellow. I don't think it's every Bellow because the other Bellow, Jake, is not really a threat to Katura, and B, Jake tried to help Katura out.
And I forget Jake was on Bellow. I gotta be real.
Yeah. But I don't think Katura is that. If she targets Jake this episode, then yeah, she was, and I'm wrong. But
yeah. Well, what could happen, right? If I had to script the season, I could see her breaking 3 before with Emily, but Emily put all of the focus on Katora doing that, make it seem like it's her move. That way Katora gets a lot of the steam, is a threat, and then gets voted out. And then at Final Tribal Council, Emily could be like, I was part of that process every step of the way. I just put all the blame on Katora. That way I was able to stay and survive longer. I think that is the way to go. The odds of that happening, very slim. But, I'll be the guy on the couch telling you how to do it and how to play Survivor, despite not being on Survivor. So,
Before we get to the tiers and all of that, I want to quickly point out the people who haven't gotten a vote yet this season. Austin has not received a vote this season. Let's see.
Did Emily not get a vote?
Emily did. Emily got one vote when in the revote where Jay Maya went home.
Oh, I forgot about that.
But one vote. It's pretty good.
From the guy who went out. That's really good.
From Jay Maya, yeah.
She almost would have been the first one out.
Austin and Katura are the only people who have not had their name written down yet. Take that as you will.
So I could see that with Austin in the sense that no one's really. I feel like Austin is just getting that Xander edit where we think Austin is playing this immaculate game, but in reality, he's just not really there.
Yep.
Kind of like Xander. Xander was very photogenic. He was very good at giving confessionals, and he was, we all thought he was like this big underdog. When in reality, everyone was just like, "Oh yeah, it's just Xander. Who cares?" Exactly. I can see that with Austin.
What about Katura? What do you see in the read that because the tribal councils where she did end up going and she was not immune was the split tribal. She was the swing vote, the crucial vote at that tribal.
The split tribal she was immune for.
Yeah.
Or not split tribal. Never mind, I'm reading it wrong.
No, she was the swing vote in that.
Yeah.
The final 10 where Kelly went home. She was not much of a threat in that regard. Final 9, Kendra didn't have a vote. Same kind of deal. Not really much of a threat. Didn't really have her name thrown out. This round, with Bruce going home, integral to that vote as well. Setting up the lie and being the one, which is, oh my God. Okay, can we talk? All right, before we finish, we talk about the lie. Because, in my opinion, Bruce would have had that lie sold if he did not tell Katura that it was a lie. If he didn't tell Katura that it was a lie, 100%, I think Bruce would have gotten away with it. And I think Bruce could have easily survived playing the idol this round and making a big move. Right?
Yeah, I totally forgot about the lie. That was a really good move from Bruce. That almost worked out really well.
It almost worked, except the Achilles heel was trusting Katura again.
Yeah.
And that was the payoff. We've been talking about the payoff of one of the big arcs of the season, Katura versus Bruce. Here it was. They were finally starting to trust each other again. Bruce tells this lie and then says it was a lie. And then Katura's like, you know what? I still don't want to work with Bruce. And so I'm going to tell people it's a lie and trash Bruce's game. And it was the perfect building block for Emily to have the crowning shot of bluffing Bruce.
Yeah, that's the problem though with Katura with the Bruce blindside. I feel like it's shown to be more of Emily's move. I feel like a lot of the time it's like, yeah, she voted out Caleb and was the pivotal move, but also all it did was really it sets up Jake really poorly, right? I think, her in the Bruce blindside, whatever. And then with the Kelly vote out, she was not in the loop, right? And so I feel like her problem was early on, she was just viewed as a bellow number and not really as an individual player. And that's how she kind of got edited as, right? She was just another bellow who wanted Bruce gone. Now, her lack of visibility could stem from the fact that she was immune the entire pre-merge, which is entirely possible. I just think Katura still has the weirdest edit where I could really see her as the BS winner that out of left field, losing finalist, goes home now or goes home in a few votes. If depending on how the Reba 4 get broken up. If they get broken up. Because don't forget, it's still entirely possible that the Reba 4 doesn't get broken up and Jake makes it to the end by just winning challenges.
Yeah.
Or finding
they can literally ride that 4 to final 5 with Jake, and he just wins challenges, becomes a losing finalist, and it's D, Julie, and Jake.
And then Jake wins a fire against Julie.
Yeah, exactly. Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. Oh, never mind.
Hi, tier list. All right, here we go. We're going to make a hot fix. Drew is not a stay for me. I've been convinced. I'm not going to say a really bad series. I'm just going to say a minus, a sell for him. Not a good series. Same for D. As much as we want to credit D for being the top contender, on paper, a bad episode. You don't get a lot of content for the family visit or family letters. God, I wish it was a family visit. But not a great episode for D in that regard. At stays, Jake, losing finalist. At Austin, stay, tentative to say a sell. I think next episode is the time to sell Austin stock.
Yeah.
Because I think 6th or 5th is like the place Austin's going to get. I think it's
and we called that episode 1.
we said that since the beginning of the game that he's going to get that place, and we're still holding on.
Yep.
Emily and Julie with a plus. Emily, great move, great episode. Worried that it's a coronation misdirect and that she's going to get out before she can truly win, obviously. And then Julie with a plus. I wanted to say something else about Julie. Oh, yeah. The last thing I want to say about Julie is her wanting to get out Jake many, many times. She always says, Jake's got to go. I want Jake. I want Jake. I want Jake. And then she votes for the other person. She voted for Kelly. She voted for Kendra. And she voted for Bruce this episode. D, Austin, and Drew voted for Jake. Julie voted for Bruce. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about Julie, because she has not truly gotten her way at all.
That's why I have her number 4 and not number 3 or 2.
Fair enough. And then gets her at a double bye, because I think she's going to be a potential losing finalist on the same level as Julie now. I'm still weary. I'm still hesitant. But it was a good episode nonetheless for her. Finally getting out Bruce. taking a big shot.
Yep.
All the goods. So, anywho,
Hi, Edgic.
this is the edging. Hi. Yeah, so it's a little hard to see, but we have Austin with a nice little subdued episode. Unfortunately, D with Under the Radar 1. You could argue Under the Radar 2. I'd maybe do it on rewatch, but Under the Radar 1. Drew over the top -3. I'm so desperately waiting for over the top -5. I'm waiting.
I really want that episode to happen.
I really want it.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, Emily with a great episode. Jake with a Jake episode. Julie with a decent episode. You know, everyone got pretty much positivity or negativity because it was family letters and all of that. And then Bruce with his first complex of the season.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, he had a string of OTT 5 or OTTN 5, which is my favorite
favorite
Edgic thing, right? I love if I go on Survivor, I want the last like 15 episodes and just get OTTN 5 the entire way. I just want that train. It'll be fun. And then I win.
Okay. Well, Will.
That's my name.
This has been the Stocks.
Don't spaz out now. You might fall out of your chair.
Do you have anything else to say?
I applied to Survivor the other night.
You applied?
I applied. Put my application, made my video.
You gonna get on?
What's that?
Am I going to see you?
Hopefully. I did not ask Adam Klein for help. So, I think producers should put me on for that.
That's good. All right.
What about you? Did you apply?
I did not apply. I will not apply until the next cycle. That's when I will start applying because I will be done with college.
Well, apply now. That way you can make the story of like, I applied for a year. Please, it's my dream.
I applied. Please let me play.
I keep DMing Jeff Probst on Twitter. I'm like, yo, Probst, check your inbox.
Give me a spot. All right, Will.
Actually, one more thing. I want to give a shout out to my boy, Trey Plutnik. I think I said his name right.
Squid Game, right?
Squid Games. Yep. I played in Online Survivor with him back in 2020. Really cool guy. One of the most genuine guys you'll ever meet. So go watch Squid Games. Go support him. Go follow his socials. I'm going to reach out and see if he wants to do a podcast with us.
That would be fun.
That will be fun.
Little StockWatch action.
And I'm not saying that because I want to ride him to success. But I'm really hoping. So, yeah.
I'm really hoping that I can ride him to success. This has
been the Stocks.
This has been StockWatch, episode 10. Thank you all for joining. Next episode, will the Reba 4 break up? Probably not.
Probably not.
Hopefully we get some action. We will see you all next week.